Today marks 1 year since the deadly explosion on Hogarth Avenue in Flint. A 3-year-old girl and a 55-year-old woman died in that blast. Many homes were destroyed. Mid-MichiganNow's Courtney Bennett joined us live on Hogarth Avenue. Courtney, you've been covering this story since this happened, and you talked with people who were home that night. What do they have to say on this 1 year later as they continue picking up pieces of their lives?
Dave, for some people that live on this street, you ask them and they feel that this home explosion happened just yesterday. Many of them spending that Monday evening a year ago in their living room. For instance, that was the case for Phil Satkowiak, who lives 3 houses down from the explosion site.
9:20 to be exact, because I had a clock on that wall. And when the explosion blew the clock off the wall, the battery come out of the back of it, so it stopped.
Along with the cuckoo clock flying off the wall, Phil Satkowiak says the front and side windows broke immediately, sending glass everywhere.
This big chair saved the back of my head from getting this glass, otherwise my head probably would have been embedded with glass or something.
Satkowiak has lived on Hogarth Avenue since he and his late wife purchased the home in 1991, and sitting there in his chair that night was something he will never forget.
When I was in the military in 51, 52, 53, in basic training, they fired mortar shells over our head to give us the feeling of concussion, explosions, whatever. Well, that was something, but it wasn't anything like that.
He, like so many other people on Hogarth Avenue, have spent the last year rebuilding and fixing their homes. After living in this home for 3 decades, Satkowiak had to leave for several months as the damage was being repaired.
Well, I wasn't happy, but I had to go somewhere. So my one son found me an apartment, and I moved out, and because you couldn't live here. Well, they had a tag on a door that you couldn't stay here because they turned the utilities off.
Satkowiak tells me he was able to move back into his home Memorial Day weekend. It was important for him to get back home, the place he loved and shared many happy memories with his late wife and 6 children. But the memory of November 22nd, 2021 will stay with him forever.
I don't know that I can rub the memory out, whatever, but I pretty much moved past it. Yeah, I'm back home. Things are working.
For him, on this 1 year anniversary, he's happy to be alive.
Thanking God that I'm still here. It could have been a lot worse if I'd have been sitting in a regular chair.
By a natural gas leak in the basement. That's according to Flint Fire Chief Raymond Barton. He told me that this afternoon. Now, this deadly home explosion that happened on November 22nd, it claimed the lives of a 3-year-old girl and a 55-year-old woman. Now, it's been almost 300 days, and we finally know what caused that explosion. The state arson investigator, along with insurers and also attorneys, and Chief Barton met yesterday in Granville, Michigan. We have been waiting all day for a statement from the state fire investigator, but nothing has been said. With this cause being a natural gas leak from inside, I reached out to Consumers Energy. They were not aware that a cause had been determined. Back in December, a lawsuit was filed against Consumers Energy by attorney Jeffrey Feiger. At the time, Consumers Energy said they checked their outside equipment and found no issues of a leak. In February, crews were on Hogarth Avenue collecting evidence from this scene. Months before this explosion that happened Monday, November 22nd, it rocked this street, blew out doors and windows of homes in this area, sent 2x4s through roofs. For people like Linda Thompson, who lives 6 doors down from this home explosion site, she says that she's happy that a cause has been determined.
My personal feeling is that I don't think it should have taken that long. The fact that there's still all the trash, I don't care if you have a fence up or not, people go in there daily. I've seen people, like on one of the houses that look vacant, I've seen people leaving at early morning hours.
United Way told me today that there's about $8,000 left in that fund. Now, they collected, the United Way of Genesee County, about $70,000 from 100 donors. That money went to repair some homes on the street and also place people in some temporary housing until they were able to return to their homes. Now, this is the breakdown that I got today from the United Way. Here's here's where the money went. Meijer gift cards to families was about $6,750. Funeral expenses for the 55-year-old woman was $545.69. Visa gift cards for families on the street was about $3,083.30. Habitat for Humanity was $25,000. They did home repairs like new doors and windows on some of the homes on Hogarth Avenue. Catholic Charities received $26,455.89 for housing for people who needed a place to stay. The United Way worked with the city of Flint to allocate funds. People impacted were asked to call the city to get the money. Jamie Gaskins, who is the CEO of the United Way of Genesee County, says they knew the money would not change lives. He says 3 homes were completely destroyed and $70,000 would not even rebuild one of those homes. They wanted to help the best they could.
I always like to acknowledge that during disasters, what happens is people have to find out what that new normal is, right? Because some families will never move back to that neighborhood again. They're just, the property's not available or won't be available for them to stay in that space. So, we use those dollars to try and, support people with those basic needs that will hopefully help them find what that new normal looks like.